Tom Golden, I want to talk about helping mothers be closer to their sons, because I have to admit, it's a book I wanted you to write, because in all the years I've led a men's group, I've had mother after mother contact me and say, I'm a single mother raising my son. I know how to fight with my daughter, and I have no idea what to do with my son. I'm out of my league. And it's happened so many times. I wanted this book to come into existence, and I'd like today to kind of give a highlight of what's in it, because I think as I reviewed it, I wish my mother read it, and I had a wonderful mother too. But I think every mother with a son should read this book, and every therapist working with young men should read this
I'll go along with that. And Martin, I've had the same experience. All these women I've worked with are all just confused about boys. And I realized they have no way to know what men know about boys. They don't have any way to know. It's just like men don't know about girls. We can't really treat girls in the same way that we can treat boys, because we've been a boy. They've never been a boy before. So they have no clue about it, and it leaves them confused, and then the boys don't act like the girls, and then messes here and there. So I wrote the book to try and help moms like that to be able to get a sense of how boys are different, how they're different in so many different ways, from biological, hormones, socialized, all the pieces, and to help them kind of see boys in a different light.
And to me, the basic system is like a estrogen-based being of a mother.
Yes.
It's going to have a certain biological connection to another estrogen-based being.
Yes.
And a testosterone-based being is going to have another connection to a testosterone-based being. And
that's right.
And it is a different world. And you've learned that from you've learned that from talking to people who in their life started taking, testosterone, how it shifted their world and everything, and really learned a lot about it.
Yes.
Where can they start? Could you give away a few of the trade secrets of the book itself? What mothers need to start? I still recommend buying the book.
Well, they need to know that boys have testosterone. Testosterone pushes them in a different direction than girls get. Girls get maybe 10% of the testosterone boys get when they're 12, 13 and above. And this testosterone pushes the boys to strive for status. They want to do better. They want to win. And the testosterone does something else. It says, okay, you got this stuff called threat vigilance. That means if someone threatens your status, fight. Don't take it. You need to fight back and do something in response to the challenge of your status. And so how many times have I seen women roll their eyes about men? Why can't he just let that go? This is why he can't let it go. He's status driven, and there's a part of him inside that says, and defend your status whenever you need to, Yeah. And so women don't understand that kind of stance, and they don't understand the boys' stance, and the boys will have a different stance than the girls as far as testosterone goes, and it's interesting. But the book helps moms get to see, what is it like for boys, and how can there's a whole section in there on helping mothers teach their sons about emotions, because there's a whole slew of people who talk about boys need to be more like girls and talk about their feelings, And so that's why I wrote that one section, a small section, about helping moms teach their boys how to go about understanding their emotions. And it starts off by the four basics: sad, mad, glad, and afraid. You teach them those four, and you teach them those four when they're not upset. And you get to help them start to understand that all of these four have a correlate in their bodies, because the boys are aware of their bodies. Martin, I've had an adolescent came in to me one time, and he said, oh boy, I'm upset, but I don't know what's going on. And I said, okay, well, what do you feel in your body? He said, well, my hands are tight, and my fists are clenched, my jaw is tight, and I'm angry, And he got to that point by understanding that from his body. He knew his body. He knew what was going on. And that helped him move into the spot of understanding his emotions. So, the book tries to help moms learn about those kinds of things, about how boys are a little bit different in the way they process, and how she can help them do that. There's a couple of little tips in there about helping them teach feelings for boys. But I know the women like that part. They like it because it gives them something they can do, you know.
And the other thing is giving them, from my experience, giving them a place where they can win with a chance of winning or losing, not just winning in all case.
Yes.
Talk about that, because that's core. And I think we've taken that away. When I grew up, we had something called recess instead of Ritalin, and we'd go out and almost kill ourselves. I remember the recess. And then we'd come back and we could sit still. Now, and I'm not saying this is a professional, just observation, I think my entire class of boys would have been drugged back then. And we had recess, and we could go out and fight and do whatever. I mean, we weren't allowed to hit each other, but we were kind of rough and tackled, and giving that room to do it is, I think, so important.
Did you ever play Kill the Man with the Ball?
No, but we had dodgeball, and it stung.
Dodgeball was, that's a couple steps down. Kill the Man with the Ball was anybody who has the ball, everyone has full license to kill him, So right. Everyone wanted that ball and be able to run away from everybody, you learn a lot of things. You learn defeat, but you also learn how to be ferocious. King of the hill, getting up on top of the hill.
We did that.
Throwing people off. It's like you learn how to be ferocious. We're not allowing our boys to learn how to be ferocious. And if you look at other cultures and the play of boys in other cultures, you see that most oftentimes it's violent. It's aggressive and it's violent. God, the Sioux Indians and their what's that game called? I forget the name of it, but the boys line up and the elder says, "Okay, go at it," and they go at it. And they try and get the other boy down and knee him in the face to make him bleed. Then after they're finished, they get up and they go off to be together and have fun. So we've taken our whole culture and turned it into a feminine ball. And the masculine, we've tried to extract out and throw away. And we're paying a huge price for it.
Well, what you get is passive-aggressive males that are potentially more violent, in my experience. It doesn't go away. It just goes into the closet and lashes out
you get all kinds of
destructive ways.
Yes. And, the beauty of men is that they are aggressive, but the aggressiveness can be used for positive. If you look at history, men were aggressive, men were out of control sometimes and violent and whatever, but most men used that aggressiveness in a positive kind of way. That's what we need to teach the boys how to do. Use that aggression, channel it into a positive framework, not into something that's negative. So the book looks at that just a little bit.
Talk about mom sees something's wrong with her son, because in a lot of these cases, this book applies to single moms or not, but they see something's wrong. They know he's in trouble. And they're, of course, they're going to go to him, get in touch with your feelings, give them another direction to go to, because your book really maps this out.
I have moms come to me still who will come in and say, "I'm worried about my son. Can you see him in therapy?" And I'll say, "Well, what's your worry?" And they'll say, "He hasn't cried. His father died 3 months ago. It's like he hasn't cried and he won't talk about it." And I'll say, "Well, tell you what, let's try something. What does your son like to do?" "Oh, he loves to play basketball. That's all he does is play basketball." I say, "Okay, your assignment this week is to go play basketball with your son and come back and tell me next week what happened." And she comes back and she goes, "Oh my God, now I know what's going on with him, because when she played basketball with him, when she was shoulder to shoulder with him, doing a common game together, competing, what did the son do? He said, 'You suck, Mom. You can't play like Dad.'" And then, of course, that opens the whole thing up. And he talked about, wanting to shoot this 3-pointer that his dad always wanted him to shoot. And he finally did it after his father died. He said, "After I shot it and I made it, I just burst into tears. And I said, 'I did it, Dad.'" She understood then. Oh my God, my son has been grieving. He's been really processing this stuff, but he's been doing it playing basketball. And I've been sitting inside thinking he should talk. That's the kind of thing that moms need to learn about. Anytime you have trouble with your son, do something shoulder to shoulder. The other thing, there's a section in there on discipline and boys, what they need, because yes, they need to win. They need to be admired, but they also need to be disciplined. They also need, like, that's what dad does.
Consequences
Yep.
that
You're not
hold their
doing that.
ground.
Yep. 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 And we know now that that kind of consequence, that kind of holding the ground that the men do by setting limits, is the essence of empathy. You know, we thought for
That's so
years,
important. Please talk about that.
we thought for years that empathy was from moms who, oh
Yeah.
baby, oh sugar,
Yeah.
sugar, sugar, sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
Now they know empathy comes from what? From dads setting limits, or moms setting limits. But it's more
Yeah.
likely dad to set the limits and hold it.
Yeah.
Because what happens? The child learns how to see the world through the dad's eyes. And when they can see the world through the dad's eyes, that's the rudiment of compassion and empathy, is being able to see the world through someone else's eyes. If they don't get limits, they never learn to see the world through someone else's eyes. And what do? You get narcissism.
Yeah,
Socialized, just focused on themselves. Oh, me, me, mine, mine, mine. Nobody else.
Yeah,
that's what dad does for these kids. You know, so we need.
No, you get TikTok. That's what you get. Oh, I'm sorry. That was socialized narcissism seems to be abundant, and then depression and suicide, because that gives such a meaningless life when it's only about yourself. I mean, you see all these little TikTok people. Well, you know, the truth is I have deep depression. Of course, your whole damn life is about you. It could be meaningless. It is meaningless.
It's true.
It will ultimately bubble up and hit you in the face.
That's why fathers.
So I think that's the important piece. Is I would, from what you're saying, is pick your battles carefully, hold your grounds directly, and have clear and measurable consequences. Not let it slide or something. So don't say, if you do this, I'm going to do this to you, if you can't manage this, right? Of a consequence.
Yeah, you need to hold your ground. You need to say what you think is right, and if this doesn't happen, then there's going to be trouble. And you can even say exactly what the trouble is going to be. But if that happens, you need to enforce the problem. You need to enforce the punishment. If you don't enforce it, you're going to have it happen over and over again.
Yeah, you'll be bailing them out of jail one day.
And that Warren Farrell's book, he talked the boy crisis. He talks about the research showing that the kids, the adolescents, they'd say, I can't fool dad. I can't push dad. But mom, I can push her. I can get it. I can say, well, mom, how about till 10:15? Okay, but then, and then 10:15, how about 10:30? Okay, but then.
I want to give an example of this from a friend of mine. His son was a teenager, and he was acting up, and something occurred. I don't even know what it was. And he called me up and said, hey, Martin, can my son keep his computer in your garage for a while? And I knew what happened. You got it? And so I said, sure. So we brought it over. He came over. I said, it'll be right there. We'll watch it and make it, keep an eye on it. Yeah. And then, 6 months later, I got a call, and it was Mr. Brossman. I have done this, this, and this. My father's here. May I have permission to pick up my unit? And I said, well, put your dad on. And we had this conversation. And we didn't even talk about it. We just kind of an auto-staged environment. I said, I don't want to reveal the name. I said, did he do what he was supposed to do? And dad goes, yes, he did. I said, okay, well, this weekend, I didn't make it like immediate. This weekend, we'll schedule a time to come get it. And not another problem, but that's a consequence that was held in a partnership with somebody, that worked with, and such a critical piece. And I think such a great example of it. Yes. So that's another one.
Indeed. It's a tough world for moms, without a dad in the home. It's a very tough world. And the book tries to help make it a little bit easier for them, to understand boys for who they are, because they understand girls. They get that. The boys are real different, man. Boys are different.
Well, another thing that also I heard is that when they get in tune with this, really noticing how they hunger for a father figure. And any advice with that, because sometimes there's an uncle they trust, or a grandfather can step in and get involved, but without having that, that's a bigger challenge. I mean, they don't just want anyone, they want someone involved in it. Any kind of advice or direction to start with that?
Sure. Moms, unless dad has serious mental issues, make sure your son spends time with him.
Right.
Period.
Unless, because that could, if he does, that's different.
Yes, but you need to be the best judge of that. But
Yeah.
it's in your best interest to make sure your son spends time with your husband, because your son's going to be better off because of it. And it's that'd be the first thing, Martin.
Well, that's something interesting from the men's work I've learned is I've heard stories of men who, they may have real problems in their life, but they are able to clear out some type of sanity to be father because that innate hunger is so strong. So they may be a mess in their relationships, but find the room for it. So listen for it. And I do want to give my wife and my stepson credit here, because I really watched how my wife with his dad, clearly, even though they didn't get along, you could see she held space for him to be the father and interact and stuff. And his dad's passed on, but he clearly, I don't know the details, but he has an experience of father in him from that person. And it could have been great, it could have been not, but if the male can get enough pieces, he can often piece that together, enough of the little pieces, he can still get it.
And that's exactly right. If he spends time with the dad, even if he doesn't, make sure he gets time with whoever males are around who might be able to father him one way or another. Because boys will naturally be drawn to people who will father them.
Yeah.
They'll naturally be drawn to that. So
and work with them. And
Yes.
And there could be a thing with the church or scouts or something. Who knows? I mean, not that you don't want to check, but finding something that can offer that. And that's not easy either. I mean, I think we both have deep compassion for it.
Yes.
They might be burdened where mom's working double time to make a living and keep the doors going and, to find it, but kind of watching out and know this is an important piece. I can't do it all. And is there someone or maybe several pieces where he can get it? Because I've also, in my own experience of men's group, men have gotten pieces from different men in their lives. When dad wasn't there, they got a little fathering, mentoring from one
absolutely.
and another.
Absolutely. I've been fathered by many men.
Yeah.
It's great, including my
and
own
what goes
father,
on.
who was a blessing, Yeah.
Well, this gives a snapshot, and my intention here was to give enough. Of course, I highly recommend the book. It's a quick read. It's on Amazon. The link is below. And I say just get it, read it, and also I want to say to the mothers, have compassion with yourself. The fact you cared enough to make this effort, to see from another perspective, I have hats off to you. Right?
Amen. Agree.
Well, good. Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome. It's good to be with you.
Available on your website. We'll get all those links in there. Appreciate it.
All right. You take care then.
Thanks.
We'll see you.